Good morning. It is 9:30. It is the 24th day of November. Thanksgiving is upon us, which means Black Friday and Cyber Monday are also upon us. So start your role-playing game shopping now, and let's take another look at Metamorphosis Alpha by James Ward, one of the great unsung role-playing games of our hobby. So you have a lot of lore, a lot of information on the monsters and encounters. Art, mediocre. And then we have the 26 system. That is the core mechanic of the game. So what is System 26? It's a generic system, D6, dice pool with variable difficulty. Basically, it assumes that unless it's specifically written on your character sheet, you're probably rolling 2 dice for an action. So here's the Metamorphosis Alpha character sheet that we looked at last time. And we can see that, you get 1 amazing, 1 good, 1 competent, 1 weak, and 1 helpless. So normally you're going to be rolling 2 dice, but for your weak one, you're going to be rolling 1 dice. And for your helpless, you're not going to be rolling any dice. Of course, there's modifiers to the 2d6. It's all, the game apparently doesn't care if your character is naturally gifted, trained, study hard, or has learned Kung Fu by Jack plugged into the back of your head. I know Kung Fu. Also, all window dressing and can be worked out through description and role playing. The quality are situational, so, it's going to be using your standard dice 6. Difficulty for an action is broken into 3 simple categories: easy, average, hard. The minimum number needed to score achievement varies by difficulty. In Metamorphosis Alpha, you need a 3 or higher for easy, 4+ for average, 5+ for hard. But a more gritty game might raise those numbers. So like Cyberpunk or Post-Apocalypse, it might be a 4 for easy, a 5 for average, and a 6 for hard. A single roll counts as a bare minimum success. Then if you have more achievements, you can activate enhancements, according to your critical hits, or activating super adjustable abilities keyed to the stats. So and I guess a 6 is a critical success. So from what I'm understanding here, and then of course as the DM you could adjust the difficulty. Basically, let's take a look again at the character sheet. So our Jack, our Joe space guy might be rolling 2d6, and then he might have an amazing skill in spaceship piloting, which means he gets to add an extra 3d6 to the 2d6. So he's rolling 5d6 every time he pilots a spaceship. So if it's a success in Metamorphosis Alpha, for an easy task would be 3 or higher, medium task 4 or higher, difficult task 5 or higher, and assuming that a natural 6 is always just, an extra critical. So he can roll, then the DM will decide, okay, you need 2 successes of 4 or higher to pilot the, Kessel Run within 30 parsecs, to use a famous confusion of whatever from Star Wars. Parsecs are distance, not time. Whatever. So he's going to be rolling 5d6. He needs 2 4s from that. I think that's what I'm understanding. I could be wrong. And then, say our space pilot guy's got to, repair a starship or just repair skill at good. So he's going to add 2d6 and 2d6. And again, the DM's going to say, okay, this is an extremely difficult situation. You got to roll 3 5s to succeed, kind of stuff. So basically, generally it assumes you're always going to be rolling 2d6. And then you get to add or subtract depending upon if you're using something that's specific to your character, like pilot spaceship. But every other thing, just the game just sort of assumes, well, I don't care if you know how to swim or not, or I don't really care if you know how to pilot this car or not. I don't really care if you know how to talk to tin cans or not. Support me, Coke. Just, it's a cinematic whatever universe, role-playing game, so we don't care. We're just going to assume you have a general understanding of whatever it is, which is why you get the 2d6. But it could be something really, really bad at, so, I might give you disadvantage, which means you might roll 1d6. Now, what I don't understand is this minus 2d6, which means I don't roll anything? So that's the one I'm having trouble coming out with. It says here if you roll snake eyes, you get an epic fail. Like you drop your blade, you give yourself a nosebleed, stuff like that. It's also why trying actions with a smaller dice pool is more dangerous for a less capable character. But still, I can't find any explanation for why I would get minus 2d6. So I'm rolling 2d6 minus 2d6, which is 0d6. So my base is 0, which means there's absolutely no way I can accomplish the task unless there's something that gives you bonuses, which I'm not finding anything about, if you get a +2 like you do in Star Wars, because the D6 system in West End games says you can have 2d +2. So you roll 2d6 and then add 2, which means that if it was a minus 2d6 difficulty, you'd still get 2 plus the wild dice, and the wild dice in West End games says if you roll a 6, you get to keep going. You get exploding. This one doesn't have a wild dice. I like the setting. That system is very confusing. I don't really like it. Really lacking artwork. Interesting information on gear. If you're looking for a source book for a lost spaceship, Thunder the Barbarian type thing, it deserves credit for what it is in the history of our game and how important it is, how much it's influenced other things, of being, as far as we know, the first science fiction role-playing game ever published. The guy took D&D, and you can see the influences of Metamorphosis Alpha on D&D, going all the way up to Temple of the Frog and Expedition to the Barrier Peak, all the way up to today with things like Return to the Barrier Peaks, the Infernal Machine, Tomb of Annihilation, whatever the weird black monoliths are that are supposedly explained in Rime of the Frost Maiden, and I'm sure it'll make its appearance again, because it is the great unsung hero of our hobby that this game and this individual, James Ward, has such a great influence on the idea of science fantasy, and the idea of this great generational spaceship just lost out in space, and everybody's forgotten how everything works, so they're viewing everything the same way a Dungeons & Dragons character would view the world. Everything is dangerous, and I don't understand any of it until I've walked far enough, and I hit this metal wall, and it's like that Star Trek episode where everybody finds out they've really been living underground. It's for the walls are hollow and I can touch the sky, or the walls are metal and I can touch the sky, or whatever. Lore, ideas, influence, obviously, just this game is so important, but actual system, artwork, all in all, I give it a 15. So check it out. Maybe your friendly local game store is carrying it, or you can purchase it online from Cyber Monday. It's worth having, I guess, just if you want to, acknowledge the history of the game, but actually playable. There's systems that you could run this setting using better systems. I will talk to you later.